What's up, guys? I'm your host. I'm Brian, and this is Daddy Talk. And I just want to clarify something. I know this is Daddy Talk. You know, you guys associate this with fathers. But hopefully some women, some mothers listen to this show. This is for moms too. There's single mothers. I know there's single mother households and stuff like that. So, I'm a man, I'm a father. So I come from that perspective. So that's why I talk about it in the way and I frame it the way I do. But if you are a woman, you do listen to this shit applies to you as well. It's not just to men. Just to clarify that in case I need to, this is for moms, this is for dads. This is just stuff that I've lived and I've experienced through fatherhood that I share with everyone. But I focus it at dads because, there's dads and moms, and I feel like dads and moms definitely have certain roles at certain times in the household. But I do understand there's households that have either one dad or one mom. And hats off to you guys. You guys are playing fucking all the hats, and respect to that, because that's got to be a struggle. But, I got my dad hat on today. I got my BFF bracelet on today. Right before, Ivy's so freaking cute, man. Ivy had her BFF bracelet. And I'm literally like, I was running late this morning, walking out the door. And she's like, Dad. She made me make her pancakes. She woke up hella late. I'm literally walking out the door, and she comes in. Gives me that look. She likes, I got to make them for her, not mom. So I make her pancakes.
She give you those eyes.
I'm like, I make her pancakes, and then I say bye to everyone, go upstairs, kiss other kids goodbye. And she's like, Dad, BFF, Dad, BFF. That's all she starts yelling out. And she's holding her hand in the air. There's this little bracelet she gave me. It says BFF. She has a matching one. Mine's blue. Hers is pink.
Would you say you're more of a daddy's girl or a son? Or
man, I'm both. My kids all. I love my kids, dude. They all have me around their finger, bro. Like I said, honestly, but definitely there's something about little girls,
Yeah.
Like girls definitely, but my boys too, man. I just want to see them be happy and thrive and, stand out in this world. And that's kind of what I'm going to talk about a little bit on this podcast. But one thing I want to address too, you guys heard, I know we get busy and, you're rushing out the house in the morning and stuff like that. But one thing that I make a point as a parent, I make sure to really acknowledge all my kids, kiss them, let them know I love them, and acknowledge them all one by one before I leave the house. Because honestly, you never know when the last time you leave the house is. You never know what's going to happen during the day. And in the past, I've been so busy rushing around. I've left at times. Sometimes you have to leave without acknowledging them. And I hate doing that nowadays when I do leave if they're still sleeping, because I don't want to wake them up. But even in the past, if I've been rushing, you just rush out the house and you don't acknowledge them, you don't say goodbye, but just make a point of that, your whole family, you never know what's going to happen, but just acknowledge them. Tell them you love them. Tell them something positive. You hope they have a good day. Tell them they look good. Start their day with some positive shit. That's what I try to do. Tell everyone they look good, they feel good, have a great day. I do it every day. So even if I'm running late, I make it a point, address them and start their day off right. Let them know you care and give them a little compliment. Start their day off right. So what I want to talk about is, I shared this on my Instagram. Us as parents, we try to set the example for our kids. You set the example. Hopefully, us parents that are trying to aspire to do more, aspire to be more, that want to be the example, we set the example in what we do. Kids do what they see. Whatever they see, they do. It's a lot more powerful than what they hear, what you tell them. But one thing I want to talk about is, as a parent, our job and really what we're meant to do is to guide our children and push them a little bit, challenge them a little bit, push them to be uncomfortable. They're not going to do anything that we don't guide them to do. And I feel like a lot of parents nowadays, they expect their kids to want to do things and want to be things naturally. And that's just not the way it is. Greatness just doesn't happen. It's not an accident. It's habits, it's consistency, it's discipline, it's time. And these habits are usually learned somehow. And what I'm talking about is like all my kids, for example, my kids, I've had my two sons have done the sauna and cold plunge with me. My one son is he's 15 and a half. My other son is 10. So, they're younger age. They're not super old. And, normally at those age, some parents do it, but like you want them to be mentally tough. You want them to have grit. You want them to do hard things. You want them to learn that at a young age, because so many kids out there at an older age, they don't have any of that. Especially nowadays, they crumble under pressure. Something gets tough, they fold. There's no mental toughness. They tap out at the drop of a dime. All that kind of shit. And that's not by accident. That's because they have parents that aren't focused on challenging them and building those strengths and character traits at a young age. It's not by chance. You know, I push them to come to the gym with me. My kids have been working out. You see my son, he's been working out since he's 12. I didn't force him. There's a huge difference between pushing and nudging in the right direction and forcing. Don't force them to do something they don't want to do. Explain stuff to them. Tell them why they should do it. Hopefully you're an example of it. So not only are you telling them, but you're showing them. So they put that two and two together. Because if you're just telling them and you're not showing them, then they're going to think, why are you telling me this and you don't even live it? You don't even preach it. You don't practice what you preach. So these habits, exercise, fitness, I preach that to my sons and my daughters. I'm an example of that. They put two and two together. This guy's telling me to do it. This guy does it. Let me check what this is out. So if you're trying to have your kids do something that you want them to do, and you're having trouble doing that, my main question to you, are you doing what you want your kids to do in all situations? So check yourself, because a lot of times maybe you're not. Just subconsciously, you're like, I want my kid to be this. I need my kid to be this. But then you're not the example of that. So why would your child be that if you're not that? Because at the end of the day, you're the most important person in their life, especially at a young age. They look up to you. They aspire to be like you. So look in the mirror and realize if they're not what you expect, they're not what you want in a child, are you that as a parent? Are you that as an example, as a provider, as a father, as a mother? Real talk. So, you know, I bring my sons in here, and I'm going to bring my daughters too. But, you know, at the young age, I have them exercise. I explain to them, this is why we work out. We get stronger. We get healthier. These are the reasons why, right? You got to explain them. You can't just tell them to do something and no reason why. And obviously my oldest son's taken to it. He's amazing. He's strong and he looks like a bodybuilder. But my younger son, I'm starting to get him into it. He's 10. He's a little bit younger. I tried working out with him. He's not really, he needs another year or two to do that. But this weekend I just thought, I'm like, you know what? He is the age where we can start with the mental toughness. I see a little tendency in him, honestly, just being real as his dad, where he's not that strong mentally at times, you know? And I see that in him and I'm like, okay, what can I do to help build this up in this kid and help him go in the right direction? Because we all need that in this world. So I'm like, hey, we're gonna go to the gym. I'm not working out today. We're gonna just do sauna and cold plunge. And he's all excited. He's like, yeah, because you know they love when you give him attention and you want to do stuff with them. And he's never done that in his life. He's never done sauna. He's never done cold plunge. And brought him here. Did the sauna. The sauna wasn't too bad. We're Persian, you know what I mean? So the heat's not that bad for us. So he did the heat pretty good. It was like 170 degrees for like 20 minutes. So it was pretty good. He was sweating. Then the cold plunge is what's hard because that really shocks the body. And as we sat in the sauna, I'm talking to him, explaining to him, you know, this is why the sauna is good, the health benefits, the mental benefits. It's been going on for thousands of years. People have been using this, you know, and wine. You know, Cruz, he eats it all up. He's very analytical. Night and day different than his brother. His brother, you know, you talk to him, he doesn't even look like he's paying attention. Cruz, you talk to him, he's fucking eating every word up, asking 50 questions. He understands it all. He's totally different. So we go to the cold plunge, and I'm explaining to him, okay, the cold plunge is going to be hard. It's, you know, going from this hot to cold. It's going to be a shock to your body. You got to breathe through it, and you know you got to do this stuff, and this is why we do it: mental toughness, the health benefits, and starting your day doing off hard things, and you're winning, and all this kind of stuff I preach to you. But I'm preaching this to my kids, 6, 10, 13, 15 years old. So as parents, you got to think about, like I said, I wasn't even being preached that by my father at that age. So I'm just using what my knowledge I have now, because we're all at different levels based on how we were raised, to hopefully give them a head start. Because if I had this knowledge when I was younger and I applied it when I was younger, could you imagine where I would be? Because I know I've been applying it for the last 10 years, and look at where I've gotten to in 10 years of applying it. Can you imagine if I had the leg up when I was 10 years old? Knowing this shit? So that's just things I think about, and I'm trying to instill in them. And obviously it's still on them to take it and run with it. And I'm not going to force them to do that, but all I'm going to do is give them the best chance possible. That's our job as a parent. giving them the best chance possible, and actually putting effort in to help mold them, their lives, and mold them as people, because they're going to be what we help them become, honestly. So we go to the cold plunge, and Cyrus has done it. So my older son did it. He did it his first time. It took him a while to get in. I think he was shocked how cold it was. He got in. He got in for about a couple minutes, which was a good job for his first time. Cruz got in, and like 15 seconds, he got in. You should have seen his face. I actually have a video of it, but I wasn't going to do him dirty like that and post it, because it was the most hilarious expressions you've ever seen. Just like shock and like pain and like agony. And he jumps out and he's like, oh God, you know. So anyways, I'm like, you know, I think you can do longer. You know, you didn't even get a chance. You didn't breathe through it. You know, you gave up pretty easy. But, you know, this is your first time. As long as we progress, you know, as long as you progress and you do 15 seconds this time, next time's 30 seconds. Like, you know, I'm not going to force him. I'm not that dad. I try to be positive. But I get in for 3 minutes, and I'm just talking to them, and they're like watching me like, why is this so easy for you? You know, it's so hard. And I tell them, you know, physically it's similar, our bodies. It's just my mind. You know, my mind is really strong, and I just trained myself, and I'm used to this, and it's pretty easy for me, you know? So he's taking it all, and he's listening. And then I get out, and he's like, Dad, I want to try again. You know? I'm like, proud. Like, you know, it's like, yes, he wants to try again. He's like, I want to try again. And he tried again, and he did like 1 minute and 20 seconds the second time. I recorded it, posted it to my Instagram story. A lot of you guys commented on it. You really liked it. But he did a good job. You know, 10 years old. I wasn't fucking getting in 39, 40 degree water at 10 years old, you know, pushing myself mentally and physically like that. So he wants to do it more. And it's so funny. It's like, you know, I just really, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? I just let him know how proud I am of him. I really just what's the word, Memo? I can't think of it. See, I'm not that analytical person.
You
reinforce. I really reinforce that behavior. I let him know how proud I am for doing it, period. I let him know how proud I am for going again and really doing a long time for someone his age and never dealing with stuff like that, and really make him feel good. And you got to do that with kids. You got to reinforce them. You got to really let them know when they do a good job. You got to also let them know when they do a bad job. It goes hand in hand. You can't let it slide either way. They need to know when they're good. They need to know when they're bad. It can't be a gray area at all.
Do you think that it'll be easier for Cruz, since he has a brother who's also doing it now, doing everything that you wanted him to do, kind of push him in that direction, same way as you guys are?
For sure.
You think it'll be easier for him?
He wants to be like his big brother. Okay. You know, he wants to be like his big brother, but they're such different people. They're like, you couldn't be different people. You know, it's just crazy. And all my kids are so different. They all came from the same parents, same raising, same, you know, upbringing. Yeah. And it's crazy how different they all are. And it's just crazy. Humans, it's crazy how different we all are from the second we're born. And, you know, obviously your upbringing and your surroundings definitely help mold who you are. And it definitely does. But there's also something crazy and true to, like, everyone's born with a, like, pre-established personalities, or something like that. Predisposed, yeah. Like, to who they're going to be.
Yeah.
All four of my kids are completely different. I could tell as their father at even like 6 months old how different they are. Because when they're babies, 6 months old, a year, their personality starts coming out, and they all were different. At that point, their surroundings don't have a chance to influence who they're going to be. Yeah. You know what I mean? This fucking guy. We're recording a podcast. The motherfucker's out the door with a leaf blower. Fucking guy. Anyways, if you guys heard it, there's a leaf blower right outside my door. But it's crazy. But, you know, next is the girls. Next, I'm bringing the girls because, you know, I try to treat my girls and my boys the same. Obviously, I can admit it's hard as a father, because as a father, you know, I feel like naturally we treat guys and we treat our boys, our sons and our daughters a little differently. And it's just the way it's ingrained in us. You know, we want our men to be fucking killers and men's men. And we want our daughters to protect them, and we treat them sweet and safe. But honestly, in this world, I'm really trying to treat them, all four kids, the same, because they definitely notice it when you treat them differently. And, like, you know, more so than even the girls, I didn't notice that so much with the sons, but like with the daughters, they want to be treated like the sons as well. It's crazy to see, you know? So I try to all around treat them the same. Even though, like, being real with you guys, it is hard because as a man, as a father, if you're listening to this, you know you have certain ways you treat your sons and certain ways you treat your daughters, with discipline, with everything. In reality, it's just the way it is. But next up, I'm bringing the girls in here. My daughter, she's 13. I've worked with her a good amount of times. She likes working out. She's very fit. She's very athletic. She doesn't do it quite as much as her brother, but she likes to do it maybe once a week. And my younger daughter, Ivy, I think she's going to be really into working out. She's very outgoing and crazy, but I'm going to bring them both in here, and I want to test them mentally too. And I'm interested to see, compared to the boys, if I had to guess, I think they're mentally tougher than the boys are.
Girls usually are.
Yeah.
Girls can usually handle a little bit more at a earlier stage.
Yeah, for sure. Even just based on their personalities and the way they are, I think they're going to do a better job with the sauna and the cold plunge than the boys. And my youngest, Ivy, she's only 6. She's the only one that has actually cold plunged with me outside in the pool. So, actually Cyrus did. My older son did one time. But, when I was doing it at my house in the pool, no one else had any interest. But Ivy, she would come out there with me and kind of get in the water and talk to me and stuff like that. And she's, again, the youngest one. So I'm interested to bring them in here. I'm going to bring them in here this weekend. And hopefully the 3 of us can come at once and do it together. And here's the thing, guys. That's creating memories. These kids will never forget that. My sons will never forget that. So coming in here and doing that with them and pushing them and making those memories with them, it's the simplest thing. It was a sauna and a cold plunge session, which after I'm gone and dead, my kids are going to remember that. It's crazy. And it's the simplest thing, and you're instilling values in them, and it's just putting that effort in as a parent. It's not the hardest thing. And you guys I think you try to do too much sometimes. You don't realize the magic is really in the simple shit, and doing simple shit, meaningful shit together that's going to instill things in them and change them. I mean, that kind of stuff may change a kid's life, and it may sound weird for me to say that, but I think about my mental toughness and how much I've grown it. And this is all self-done for me, but I know like how tough I am mentally, and the cold plunging and the sauna and the working out and the stuff that I do to challenge myself every day, how much it's changed my life. And this is all recently for me within the last few years. And I'm 40 years old now. So I'm thinking, a kid that's 10 years old that's getting put through this, what is he thinking? What is he feeling? And how is that going to transition? And none of that would have happened unless me as a parent was nudging him in that direction, pushing him in that direction, but not forcing them in that direction. That's what this whole topic of this podcast is about. Challenge your kids to be better, nudge them in that direction, force them to be uncomfortable, challenge them to do hard things. But like I said, you can't do any of that unless you're doing it and you're an example of it, because it's almost like you're a fraud. You're fake. I'm telling you to do this. I'm pushing you to do this, but I don't do it. Well, Dad, Mom, why don't you do it? You don't got shit to say, right? So whatever you do with your kids, if you're trying to instill in them, if you're trying to help them grow, make sure you're the example. And that's really all I want to cover on this podcast. It's just being a parent is the most amazing thing in my life. And like I said, I'm not perfect at it. And this point of this podcast is just share little tidbits with you. And I share them on social media, and you guys see it, and I love your comments. I really appreciate it. But you guys love that cold plunge thing. Like that cold plunge thing, I got the most DMs from that than I've probably gotten anything in the last 3 months. Even people said they got emotional.
Really?
Like, just because you could see on his face, like how hard he
he was very expressive.
Like how hard he was trying,
like
this kid at 10-year-old, but that, even what it's doing for him. And I had even adults saying like they tried it and they couldn't even go in for more than 30 seconds. Those are grown ass people. Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, this kid at 10
it's definitely painful. Yeah, it's definitely
easy, like I said, just easy. At that age, pushing them to do that kind of stuff. It's what needs to be done, because it's gonna transition. Yeah. You hope it does, right? You don't know if it will.
The biggest thing is definitely that he got it in a second time.
That's the big thing. That's the big thing. Yeah.
Definitely.
So that's all this podcast is going to be about. I didn't want to take too much time, but please, that's the message. Push your kids, challenge your kids, force them to be uncomfortable. Tell them, but not only tell them and explain to them why, but show them. Be an example. Because if you're not an example, you're a fraud. And if you're a fraud, what are you representing? They won't do anything that you not only tell them, but you need to show them. Be the example. And that's all I want to talk about. Hopefully you guys are liking this podcast. We're going to have another one this week. We're going to have a guest. So we're going to find someone else. I think we'll do another guest one. It's been a while.
Yeah.
We'll have a guest one, and we still got to record a TYC podcast too. But guys, please share this podcast. Please share the content. Subscribe to it. Like it. Review it. Appreciate you. Love you guys. We're out.